I'll start it off.
New.
Okay, so first up, we have a coming soon. This is our Raspberry Pi B Plus case coming soon. Sign up. They are on their way. These are going to go extremely fast. Designed by Mike Dole, one of the best industrial designers in the world. And we love putting
designer of his cases.
We love putting the designer's name on the case.
Yeah, we're gonna have this. This is the neutral one, which is just kind of a gray base, a translucent gray smoke with a clear top, and it's polycarbonate, so it's beautiful and extremely durable. It has all the ports you expect. It's totally awesome. This photo makes it look like it's white, but it's not. It's a gray base and
I'll
a
go
clear
to the
top.
overhead.
Oh yeah. And this is like the first pull out of the mold, and it worked great. So we're going to get more, and I'm just showing it with one of the cables that I'll be demoing soon. Let's see, maybe I'll turn it down. Whoa, yeah, turn it down a little bit. And the Pi fits inside, but it's clear. You can fit hats inside. You can have a GPIO cable. You can have a micro SD slot. You can have your ports, and we'll have multiple different colors. All of them translucent, so you can mix and match colors. We actually posted some photos a couple months ago of the renders, but we're going to have like pink and green and blue, and you can mix and match the color. So hopefully that will be coming in the next couple weeks. But you can sign up now, and you'll get notified, and you'll get notified even when we get the other colors in. But we'll also just have this kind of plain case, and it's like totally awesome. And then the neat thing is we can have different tops because it's designed so that the top just snaps off, and we can have. Let me do a AF lock. So we can do different tops and shapes and color. Whoa.
Okay, there you go.
There you go.
Do it till focus. Okay.
So sign up for that. It will be in the shop soon. Lovely case.
Okay.
Snap it together.
Next up, this is a book by popular demand, the Raspberry Pi Cookbook. This is by Simon Monk. He has some of the best tutorials on learn.adafruit.com. If you want all that smarts and some more stuff and some different stuff.
It's a huge book. I'm going to hold this up to show how big it is.
Yeah.
It's got everything. I can't read it off.
I'm going to, okay.
It's software, it's hardware, it's Python, it's electronics, it's hats and shields and breadboards, and it's like everything. It doesn't have color photos, but it's a great book, and it works with the model B or B+. It's adaptable. If you love Simon Monk's tutorials, you will adore this book.
Okay, next up. An FTDI cable.
This is an updated FTDI cable. We have carried FTDI cables for a really long time. This is PID 70. So it's a really old product. We're up to like 2300 by now. What's really sweet about this cable is we now have it with a translucent body, and it has LEDs in it. Did we get the LED GIF?
It's a GIF, but it didn't play well in the video software.
If you go to the product, you can see it's translucent. And so, actually, can you go back like three more images to that one? Yeah, you can see how it's translucent. So there's a red and a green LED inside, and when you send and receive data, it pulses, so the body glows, and so you can see when data is going back and forth. Usually, FTDI cables do not have LEDs in them. They're just like black plastic, and so you spend a little bit more to get these nicer cables, but I think it's really handy because it's good. You can see when data is passing through the cable. Yeah. So if you have like the wrong COM port or something is acting weird, you can at least visually see when the data is passing through. And of course, these use genuine FTDI chips, so you don't have to worry about that.
There's no chance that FTDI would like release drivers and, you know, cause any problems. So.
But either way, these are genuine.
If they ever did,
and,
these are genuine FTDIs.
They're great. They're completely the same as the previous cables electrically, just now translucent with LEDs.
So okay, next up, we have Raspberry Pi Book Pack.
Right. This is the pack of parts for Carrie Ann Philbin's amazing and awesome book about Raspberry Pi. It's all about like Raspberry Pi building and software. Oh, can you go back?
You want to go back?
Yeah, I want to just show that what. So this is the book, and this is the thing put together. But the parts that it comes with is go forward to.
What?
That one. It comes with a breadboard, long wires, short wires, LCD, big red LED, big green LED, 5 push buttons, trim potentiometer, and a little GPIO card. And this lets you do, you add this onto a Raspberry Pi. It doesn't come with a Raspberry Pi or SD card or all the other stuff that we have. This is just the parts packs for the last 2 projects, which show you how to integrate buttons, switches, LEDs, LCDs, and sensors into the Pi. So I'll just show the demo. And yeah, so he has this little card that slips onto the Raspberry Pi B+. We showed this off before, and it labels all the pins so you can plug these long wires in. And I'm not gonna, it actually is playing web radio, it's playing music, but if I play it, like YouTube will freak out and think we're pirating music, so there's no audio. But you can play audio through here and change the station and stuff, and all these good things. And yeah, it's just one of the final projects where you use a Raspberry Pi and Wi-Fi to create an internet radio. Okay. So yeah, you have the LCD, and these are the parts that are included. So if you would like to build the projects in the last 2 chapters of Carrie-Ann Philbin's book, check out this pack. That also will work with the Model B or B+. We think most people are going to have a B+ going forward, so we included the B+ GPIO header, and also we have a printout showing how B+ and B is the same with the headers and stuff. So it's a great add-on pack for the book. If you have the book, you can just pick this up, and we'll let you do that project.
Next up, we have these cables.
Very long cables.
Yeah.
These are very long cables for the Raspberry Pi camera. We already had the cables in short lengths and medium lengths, and now we have them in really, really long lengths. So this plugs into where the camera would go, and you just swap out this cable, and then this cable is like really, really long. I think this is the 2-meter long cable.
Wow.
It's really, really, really
You could do a lot of cool like outdoor stuff. You could have the cable.
You have the Pi indoors and in the camera outdoors, and then you have the 1-meter and 2-meter. We did test this with the Pi camera, and we had it like streaming video out and taking photos, and it worked. But I do want to mention that the camera is not specified for 1 or 2 meter length cables. That's really long. If you have a very noisy environment with a lot of RF noise in it, you may have like corrupted data, or you may have issues with your camera. So just like a caveat, that these cables are totally awesome and extremely long, but they're much longer than the camera would like to have. So it's a bit of a hack.
I like that you have these because I don't think they're available anywhere else.
No, it's most people are like, why would you even do it?
Yeah, we get asked all the time. Do you have them longer? Do you have any longer cables? Okay.
Longer, yes.
This is kind of neat. These are a little SMD.
This is so cute.
Yeah.
This is these. We're carrying all these little connectors for the Raspberry Pi because these are like custom connectors, and they are a pain to get. If they're not carried by DigiKey or Mouser or something. So we have these connectors, and they're actually kind of the same. They're the same connectors that are. Can I zoom in?
Yeah, I can.
Ooh, yeah. I don't need you.
Yeah, I know.
Look at me. I'm
I know.
in.
I'm barely needed most
You're
of the
not
time.
needed. Go back and pretend to write code. Okay, so this is a little connector that is very slim, and it's a surface mount style connector, and it plugs into. I have an A+ here, but Raspberry Pi model B+ or A+. And it's just very slim, and once I plug it in, it's going to be hard for me to remove it, but it slides on, and then you can have your circuit board, and it's basically as slim as it's going to get, so that when you have if you have a hat design that you're using, it will sit like right on top of the USB connector, or if you have a Model B+, it'll sit inside of the cavity where, underneath the USB connectors, Ethernet connectors. So it's just a very slim surface mount connector for, we're carrying it for the Raspberry Pi. You can use it for other stuff, but this is what we think it is extra good for.
Okay.
Super slim and surface mount. We'll also have a through-hole one eventually, but the surface mount one came in first.
Okay, next up.
I have to remove this.
Little tiny servos.
It's a super tiny servo.
Yeah.
This is a sub-micro servo.
I like that you can't tell that these are tiny servos because they're just like, oh, this is just photos of servos. But then you see like, wait, that's a quarter. That can't be right.
It's really small.
Yeah.
It's even smaller than the microservos that I had previously thought
they're smaller than what we were calling microservos.
So this is what I called a microservo, and this is a 9-gram servo.
That's a very small servo.
Small, but this is even smaller.
Oh my gosh, that's even a tiny small.
Hey,
hello.
Yeah. You're so small. I'm so teeny. So you need a little even higher pitched voice to pretend to be this servo, which is really small, and we think would be really great for. It's not very good for load bearing. Just be aware, like you can strip the gears very easily. But if you just want to move something back and forth about 180 degrees, it does have slightly less range than other servos because it is quite small. It really has like exactly 180 degrees. Some servos usually have like 200 or like maybe 220, but this one's really 180. It comes with a bunch of servo horns that you can attach onto it. You can see here, and little screws. We had a project that used one of these for a costume, like an eyeball that you would put on your eye and it would move around. So this is as small as servos get. I don't think they make them any smaller. So it's pretty amazing, this little geared motor with a gear train in it and a control board. So the fact that they made it this small is pretty amazing. You could fit this in, most projects that just need some motion. Just be aware, it's not going to be able to move like a pound of weight. It's very lightweight.
It's like smaller than a quarter. What do you expect?
Yeah, it's like just be aware that you can strip the gears if you're not careful.
Next up, we're getting into the parts biz. Look at it, we got little parts now.
We have parts for projects.
Little tiny parts. So what is this, Lady Ada?
We have regulators, and we're going to get more regulators, but these are the first two we're starting with. We're starting with the 7805, which I think you showed. This is the LT1117 3.3, and then this is the L4931. And these are kind of regulators that I like, and I'll tell you what I like about them. So the first one is the 7805. Let's go back to that one.
Oh, that's just, everybody likes 7805.
Everyone loves the 7805. Here's the deal with the 7805. It's cheap. It's a cheap regulator, and it's rugged, and you can use fairly high voltages with it. It'll give you 5 volts clean out from you can give it from 7 volts up to 35 volts or whatever. You can put a heat sink on it. You can get more than an amp out of it with proper heat sinking. It's great, but it has a pretty high dropout, 2 volts. So you need to have at least 7 volts in to get 5 volts out. Okay. Then we're gonna have a lower dropout regulator later, but this one is simple. We also have the LT1117 3.3, which is a very, very common 3.3 volt regulator. We use this a lot. It gives you about 800 milliamps out. It has a 0.8 volt dropout, so you have to basically give it 4.5 volts or higher to get 3.3 volts out. Very common to use this with something that provides 5 volts, like a USB jack or a wall adapter or a couple AA batteries, to get 3 volts out. And it's also a very good regulator. You can put a heat sink on it for when you really do need 800 milliamps. I first experienced this when trying to drive a propeller. The Parallax propeller needs 500 milliamps. So this was the regulator we went with, a handy regulator. And then finally, to round it off, we have a little mini 3.3 volt regulator. This is a TO92 package. 3.3 volt regulator. This is also ST micro and L4931. And the nice thing about this is it has a fairly high input voltage range. It can go up to 16 volts, I think, or maybe 20 volts, which is pretty high for one of these regulators. You can run off of almost any battery or power input. It only needs 2 microfarad capacitance for stability, and it can give you up to 250 milliamps output as long as you're within the wattage range of the package. So it has very low dropout, only 0.4 volts. So you can go as low as a lithium ion or LiPoly battery, up to 20 volts, and you can spike out as much as 250 milliamps. This is really good for little radios or projects where you don't need a lot of current for a lot of time. You just need spikes of current, or like you have a motor or a radio or something. That's what I thought this would be good for. Or if you just don't need a lot of current all the time. So this is a nice little 3.3 volt regulator. Okay. We'll be getting this in 5 volts later. This is what came in.
And then
so far.
We have more parts. You're just you're just going crazy.
This is a crystal party.
Yeah, this is all these crystals.
We have crystals. This is a 32 kilohertz crystal.
Yeah.
And this is a good crystal for low power microcontrollers and real-time clocks. Chances are if you've done any low power stuff or real-time clock stuff, you'll need a 32 kilohertz crystal. This is it. It works great. 12 picofarad load capacitance, very standard. Usually you don't even need capacitors with this. Usually the microcontroller you're using has the capacitance built into it. It has the ability to turn on the capacitance. So you do not need to have external caps. Okay. For the other crystals, we do include caps. So we have 16 megahertz.
Yeah, and
comes with 2 20 picofarad capacitors as well.
Yeah, and then and all these, just the numbers, are
4 megahertz.
Yeah, and 20 and 20.
24.
Yeah.
This one is 8, and then the next one is 12. So we're starting with this. We'll get some more crystals later, but a lot of people are saying hey, I just need the crystal with capacitors, and I was like, well, this way we'll bundle it, because it's very rare that your system doesn't need to have external capacitance as well. So this lets the crystal stay stabilized. So 4, 8, 12, 16 megahertz, those are kind of the most common frequencies that you're going to experience with a microcontroller or other timing stuff. These are good quality 30 ppm crystals. They're pretty much good for anything up to doing RF work. If you need anything more precise, you're going to be paying a lot for a voltage control oscillator. But for general purpose, like microcontroller work, these are definitely good enough.
I also want to point out, I don't think there's been any better photo ever in the history of electronics.
Yeah, you can like really read the markings on everything.
Like,
look at those markings.
Yeah, I mean, we think these things look beautiful, and so we treat them that way. So anyways.
They look like candy. Yeah, these are the short cans. I like these, the HC 49s. They're breadboard friendly and perfboard friendly, but they're also, they're short. They're not the super tall ones, so.
Yeah. Okay. Next up, I'll take this one. This is the ORION Delta 3D printer. So this is a new type of printer. It has the axis up the top, and so I have a little video that this will give you an idea. This is from the company that makes it, and so this is a little bit of a tour of it in action. Tomorrow on 3D Hangouts with Matt, Noah, and Pedro, you'll probably see some of this in action. We now have it in the store. We're one of the first resellers out there to have it, and so that discount code that we have, this is a pretty good time to use it. 3D printers, good ones, are not cheap. So this is how. These
are the most fun to watch.
Yeah,
too.
and this is like one of the first. So this got a Maker Faire, Maker of Merit award at Maker Faire Detroit. They're actually beautiful to watch. Nothing's hidden, and they're like a sculpture that makes things. So I think they're really neat, and I think a lot of people are going to like them. Okay, next up, this is.
That's so close. This is a conductive ribbon that's part of. Go to the next thing. A soft potentiometer kit from Plug&Wear. This is a very interesting thing. This is a high resistance ribbon. We have like low resistance ribbon for power transfer. This one is basically it turns it into a variable resistor or potentiometer because it's a 10 kiloohms of resistance, and then you have this little bead that acts as the wiper. So it's kind of like a manual potentiometer, but it's soft. And I can show it on the overhead as well. Let's go to the overhead. All this videos. Oh,
yeah.
Okay, hold on. Let me back it out. Back.
Yeah, whatever we set the light when we start to show is kind of what it stays at.
Okay, so I have like my little multimeter you can see, and then if you measure from end to end, it's going to say, give it a second, it's about 7.8 kiloohms. So it's very high resistance. And then as the slider goes up and down, it ranges from like in the middle here, it's like 5.5 kiloohms. And then, you know, if I slide this near the end this way and measure from this end to the wiper, it's, you know, 1 kiloohm. So you can use this as, you know, you have one end, and then in the middle, this voltage, you know, you can put a voltage across it, and then this voltage will change as you slide the little bead across. Or you can use it as a variable resistor by connecting like an LED or something from one end to power, and then this end to ground, and then, you know, from the ring, and then adjust the ring. So it's kind of an interesting thing from Plug&Wear. You know, it's rare to find high resistance stuff that's consistent, but because it's so consistent, you can use it as a variable resistor potentiometer. So that'll be an interesting addition. You know, we had the zipper switch tutorial, so this is going to be like, this is kind of like an adjustable zipper potentiometer.
Yeah. We'll be adding more stuff like this. There's a lot of cool stuff ahead for wearables.
Stuff. So something for wearables.
Next up, second to the last product. Well, one of them counts as kind of two products.
Okay.
This is a monster product.
Hold on, I'm gonna put everything away here.
This was one of the coming soon ones that we did a sneak peek.
Yeah, we had this without the touchscreen, and now we have it with the touchscreen. It's our touchscreen backpack that we make in house.
Yeah.
So we've had like sort of, you know, screens, HDMI screens that uses like other boards that we kind of assemble here. This one's nice because it's mountable. It's got the 4 mounting tabs. It's a 5-inch display, and it looks really good. It's really bright and clear. It's 800 by 480 resolution, which makes it very good for, it's like the smallest high resolution display that you can pretty much get if you want to go this small and have it be like under a couple $100. Oh, I'll move it down. You know, we just have it running on a Raspberry Pi, but it'll work with, you know, any computer. You can use it even like with a game station, anything with HDMI output. Noah and Pedro are using this with their camera, which has HDMI output for preview. They made a little preview design. Here we're demoing it with a Pi, and the nice thing about this version of the backpack, we have 2 versions, is it has HDMI and then power and data over USB, so you can power it over USB, and it also has a touch screen over USB, and it looks just like a mouse. So wherever you touch, it basically thinks it's a mouse. So you don't have to have any drivers or anything, and it works with like any kind of computer. So for example, I can start up. Let me see what I want to start. I'll start up. Sorry, hold on. I can start up Minecraft, and I can say like, okay, let's start the game and create new world, and it's building a terrain, and like, you can use this as a mouse, and then also have a keyboard if you'd like. So you can basically use this as a mini tablet display, but you can easily attach it to stuff, and you power it. It's powered from the Pi. So like over here, it's just powered into the USB port. So power and data through one cable. So this is a nice like all-in-one display. If you want to have like a single board computer with a display, and like our Pi TFT is nice, but it's just not high resolution. It's not HDMI. It's not going to be as good looking.
As someone pointed out, these work with a laptop, and it's USB powered, and you can have a secondary screen.
It works with everything.
It's really cool.
HDMI. It looks just like an HDMI monitor. Like the Pi just thinks it's a TV, and then I can like do stuff. Oh my!
Yeah, this is really neat.
I can use it in like wherever I touch that it thinks I'm like a mouse click.
Okay.
Yeah, I use it on the Pi, but it works with the BeagleBone block as well. I actually demoed it on my Windows computer to use it, and then it works on anything that HDMI out.
I know on my Mac.
Yeah, we had it on your Mac. Basically, it's just like
works great.
Miniature HDMI monitor, and it looks really good. And and you can. There's also like some debugging pads, and you can also power it by soldering to these pads if you don't want to use USB. But
that's a nice
I would use the. And we have a version without a touch screen. If you do not want to have touch, if you're like, I don't want to have. The touch element, you don't want to pay for that because it's a little bit more expensive. We have a version that has no touch.
Okay, so
I'm gonna dig myself a hole.
Here we go. Here.
Okay.
Now the star of the show, besides you.
Yeah.
And K-Town's handiwork is this product itself.
Okay.
Okay, later. This is it. This is a new product. This is the Bluefruit.
Oh, you know what? I forgot to actually bring a Bluefruit.
Bluefruit
That's okay. I'll talk about it here.
Okay.
We're going to talk about this in more detail in the next couple of weeks, but this is sort of a live now. This is a Bluefruit friend, and it's a USB to Bluetooth adapter, which is a really odd thing because a lot of people are like, hey, I have Bluetooth built into my laptop, and on Windows you can get a Bluetooth dongle. Why would you need this? Well, this is sort of like an all-in-one USB UART to Bluetooth converter. It doesn't use the Bluetooth stack on a computer because usually you need to have a whole bunch of software to like actually do the Bluetooth low energy like build up and tear down. It's just like computers are not very good at it. So this allows you to basically, you plug into your computer and it has a little Bluetooth radio on it and a USB to serial converter that talks to the Bluetooth module. And we have our custom firmware that K-Town worked for 6 months on. And it lets you talk to any tablet or phone that has Bluetooth low energy without having to like have a separate tablet or a separate setup. It basically has a direct link. Hello. Oh, you brought some. Thank you.
Yeah.
You are good for something.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I can open up jars and go fetch products. That's about it.
Because if you have a tablet or a phone right now that has Bluetooth energy, you can talk to like your smartwatch or like a little sensor. But if you think about it, it actually doesn't do Bluetooth connection to a computer. There's no way to do that. And so if you're doing Bluetooth development, or you're trying to communicate between your phone or tablet or Bluetooth device to your computer, there's just no way to do that until now. So this is a device that we actually developed to help us do Bluetooth low energy development. And we'll be doing way more Bluetooth energy stuff in the future. But if you're trying to communicate between a computer and a tablet, or you want to debug or create a Bluetooth link between computer and phone, this is the device for you. We wrote like a really intense Bluetooth firmware interface that lets you use AT commands. So you can type commands into it and say like, turn it into a beacon. So it's like an Apple beacon, except we can't say that because it's trademarked. So you can't call it iBeacon, but we can say it's a beacon.
I'll show it on the other end. Just give folks an idea of what this thing looks like.
Yeah, I can show it in detail. And then you can change the name of it and like get the RSSI power. So here's the USB connection, and then we have an FTDI chip over here, which converts the USB to UART. We have a switch that can switch between UART mode, which means whatever you type shows up on the phone, like it's exactly shows up on the iPhone app, or command mode where you tell it like when you want to send data and when you want to like change the attributes or characteristics for your Bluetooth Low energy device. It comes with a DFU, which is an over-the-air bootloader. So if you press this button while plugging it in, it will allow you to update the firmware on board over the air. So if you want to develop your own Bluetooth applications, this is a really, really easy way to very fast create and update Bluetooth firmware on the Nordic NRF 51822 chipset. There are some indicator LEDs, and we have a snap-off SWD adapter. This is a JTAG connector, so you can program this chip raw if you don't want to use the bootloader. You want to just like use a J-Link, and you can snap it off. I don't want to do it, but it has little holes in it, so you can pull it off with pliers.
Yeah, that's cool.
It's a very complicated product, so if you're like, I don't completely understand it, check out the tutorial, because I can't describe it adequately in 2 minutes, but it's kind of a Swiss Army knife for Bluetooth Low Energy that you can use with your computer. Works with Mac, Linux, Windows. So you know, Windows 7 doesn't even have Bluetooth Low Energy support. So now you can do Bluetooth Low Energy stuff with Windows 7 without having to update to Windows 8.
Yeah, does it work? Are any of the Linuxes supported for something like this?
Everything. It just has FTDI chips, so which is supported by every Linux. So it'll work with a Raspberry Pi even if you want. It'll work with anything.
Someone pointed it out.
Okay.
I think that's called like leading the questionnaire.
And then for the app, this uses a UART characteristic, so it's a basic RxTX characteristic. It works with the Nordic UART demo app, which is available for iOS and Android. And of course, it works with the Adafruit iOS app, which we have not yet ported to Android, but we're working on it right now. We're working on Android development. So you'll be able to get some example code for Android, but it's really, really simple. You just have an RX and TX characteristic, and it's sending data back and forth as a transparent pipe.
Okay, and then there's one other version of this.
That's right. We also have another version, which is the sniffer version.
Yeah, so I have a screenshot, but
yeah, I mean, it's because it's exactly the same hardware, but we burn in.
Oh look, this is the sniffer version. We took an identical photo.
We might have to put a sticker on it at some point, but it lets you use Wireshark. Right now, it's only supported under Windows, but we're working on trying to get the Mac version to support it as well. We have to kind of ask some people to add our VID PID in. So you can, if you want to do Bluetooth Energy development, and you're like, I really wish I could listen in on all the packets so I could see what data is being transmitted and characteristics and like what's going on. This is a really awesome Bluetooth sniffer. It basically listens to any Bluetooth packets going around from any device to any device and lets you dump them into Wireshark, which is a really powerful open source data analysis tool, so you can like look at certain MAC addresses and characteristics and GATs and like make sure that all the data you expect to be going through is going through. So it allows you to both listen into Bluetooth Energy and also debug your Bluetooth Energy setup. We needed to have two products because the firmware for the sniffer completely takes over the chip, so you can't do that and the other thing. You have to have like completely separate firmware. You can convert one to the other using a J-Link, JTAG programmer, but not everyone has one, so we just have two program versions. You know, the sniffer one, we do the extra work to program it with a sniffer firmware. If you have a J-Link, you can buy the Bluefruit friend and then program it with the firmware on your own if you're feeling up for it. But we have both, since some people are like, I just need a Bluetooth sniffer, and they don't want to get into the firmware programming part. Okay.
And so what module, what company makes the module
we're using the Nordic NRF 51822 core, which is the best Bluetooth Energy core, we think. K-Town loves it. I like it a lot. It's really sweet. It's got like great things like this over-the-air bootloading capability. It's extremely low power. It's got great range. And there's a free tool chain for it. So if you would like to do more development with the Nordic NRF 51822, which if you're doing Bluetooth Energy, you probably are, because again, it's the best chipset. You can program this with your J-Link, and we'll have lots of firmware and tutorials for you to hack on this. And we'll make other versions of the Bluefruit LE friend, and breadboard-friendly ones, and Arduino Shield version ones, and ones that are like all-in-one, and ones that are battery-powered, and all that good stuff. But we're starting with we're starting actually with the debugging tool that we created to debug the Bluetooth Energy products that we're making. So that's how we roll as engineers. We're releasing the debugging tools first, and then we're going to actually release
I like how you always release the tools that you make yourself. What was that, the display adapter thing that you did? Would have all the different types?
Like I released like the breakout that I generate to debug the TFTs.
Yeah, I thought that was clever.
Nordic doesn't want us to like put it out there, but if you can't see it because I have my finger covering it, but it comes with a software code for Nordic. So if you would like to download their SDK and stuff, and you need a product key code, our products come with the key code So that's very handy because they don't have, the software is available, but you have to type in the key code to get it. So you have a license.
All right, this was a monster show. We had a lot of new products. Woof. Okay.
Okay, but I did it all.
You did it all.